Man, what's going on YouTube? This is DJ the Bell Buns. I'm just touching back bases with y'all about what's going on. I had made a video the other week, well, last Friday. I didn't get to complete it, but I was just going in shortly on Collateral. You got people, and this video is for people who want to know how collateral works in the bail bonding business, or somebody putting up a house. Well, this Friday I had a guy wanting to bond out, and I looked at the name, it looked familiar, and I looked like, God, and I started looking at his record. FTA, fade to appear, felony, fade to appear. That's the biggest red flag. If you ever go to jail and you're trying to bond out, fade to appears are a kryptonite to a person trying to get out. That's very problematic in the bonding world. That's like going to a car dealership and you got two repos on your record where you got cars repossessed. That's what it's kind of like when you're trying to bond out and you got multiple felony failure to appears. But yeah, I had a guy trying to bond out, and people want to know, why would somebody put up their house, or what will be the reasons you put up a house when you bond, when you're trying to get out of jail. So I'm just going to break down a few reasons why people bond, why people use collateral to bond out, and why this woman had to put up her house today on a $20,000 bond for a gentleman. So the number one reason a person has to put up a home to bond out is if it's a large bond, like, or not just necessarily the amount, but the type of crime, like on a homicide or rape, any type of sexual assault, like with kids or children, and murders. People put up collateral like homes, and the reason being is a high probability, or not necessarily a high probability, but it's a good chance that a person would run because of the potential of facing life in prison, death penalty, or death penalty or life in prison, or 20, 30 years. And when you are facing that much time, you can't judge a normal human being. You know what I'm saying? It could be a person who never really got in trouble, but you're facing life for 20, 30 years in prison. A lot of times your mind frame is, I might as well just run, because when they catch me, I'm going to jail for a long time anyway. So when a person has a murder charge, usually, especially if it's a capital murder, you usually get no bond, or your bond's usually going to be set $1 million and up. But when it's $1 million, it might as well be, for some people, it might as well be no bond, because there's not too many people that's going to touch it. And this is where the home comes in. So, like, say if you got so that's one way of having a bond. Another one is you have multiple failure to appears. Like I was saying, it's like kryptonite in the bonding industry. If you got multiple, especially not misdemeanor necessarily, but felony failure to appears, that's serious, because you're missing circuit court, you're missing felony court, and that just shows the type of mind frame you are in and what type of lifestyle you're living if you miss felony court multiple times. And if you're missing felony court, is serious. So we might ask for collateral, like far as a home, to get put up. Another reason you'll get somebody have to put their home up is if you're from out of state. Like, say hypothetically, just use this example. If I'm in Arkansas, right, and I go to North Carolina, I get into a fight or argument with somebody at a bar or something. I go to jail for ag assault or assault. My bond is $10,000. Bonds might look, hey, I'm from Arkansas. It's a high probability this guy couldn't come back to court, or he's working and can't get off to go back to court. I was in the hospital, a million excuses why you wouldn't come back to court in North Carolina if you're from Arkansas, because it's a 12-hour drive for one. That's the biggest reason. And a lot of people might be just visiting a place and have no plans of going back. So if I get away from here without having to go to court, I might just never go back. And it's going to be very unlikely that North Carolina is going to come get me. They may, but they might never pick me up on the charge. The warrants to just stay out there forever, because it's not in a close enough range, or it's not worth them driving all the way to Arkansas or getting the transport to bring you back to North Carolina. That's going to cost a lot of money, for a prison transport service to bring that person back to North Carolina. And if I don't come back to court, I'm on a $10,000 bond. that bonding company is going to have to pay the state $10,000. So in an instance like that, whenever you're out of town, you always got to be real careful what you're doing, especially if it comes to you going to jail, because it's just not no, hey, I just go to jail and I get out the next day. Because when you're out of state and you go to jail, it's a whole different ball game. You got to have your money right. You know what I'm saying? Because people going to research. As soon as they see you from out of state, it's almost like an all hands on deck, or it's a real important deal. People are going to be talking, even if you're like 1 or 2 states over. Because once again, you gotta make sure this person comes back to court. Because you get a lot of people just driving through a town they ain't never been to. They really ain't had no plans of stopping here or never even planned going here. I bonded out people from California, going to Georgia or Miami, get arrested, just bringing a lot of drugs in. Most time it's weed, a whole bunch of weed, and they're just transporting it. And they might be transporting it to a place where it's legal. They might be transporting it to a state where weed is actually legal, but they have to cross through states that are illegal and they get caught. They're going to go to jail. And you got to have your money right, and you got to have collateral right. I bonded out 2 Asian guys one time. You would never think they were transporting. They were coming from California. I think they were going to Georgia, somewhere in Georgia, but they had over 100 pounds of weed, and they were from like the Sacramento area. But they had money to bond out, and they had money to put up for collateral too. It wasn't no problem. They came back to court, flew back to court, took their charges or whatnot. Because even in Arkansas, you can get caught with a whole bunch of weed as long as you don't have no guns, and you can get caught with 100 pounds of weed, and you go to court and handle your business, you're gonna get like 5 years probation and be on you'll be on probation for 5 years, and they're just gonna milk you and get that money out of the probation system, But that's the reasons why you would need to put up a home. People put up collateral. You can put up all type of things for collateral. You can put up homes. Me personally, I like to do homes, because basically what we do when you put up a home, we don't take your home. We just file a lien on it or file a new mortgage on it. So in the event, we got in the paperwork wrote up, in the event that you don't go to court, we'll put your house up for quick sale. And you have to get out then, and we'll sell the house. So if your bond, say $50,000, and you got a $300,000 house, and you got $100,000 for equity in it, that's a good home to put up, because you got enough equity in the house to pay it off. So we'll sell the house and pay the $20,000 off plus the expenses we had looking for that person, and whatever else is left over we give back to the original owner of the home, But usually when somebody puts up a home, you never have a problem with that person going to court. That's the good thing. So we never had to take a home before, and that rarely ever happens. Just like with the Troy Ave incident in New York a couple years ago, when he grabbed a gun from what's that blogger name? He's locked up right now for the murder of Banga. Dang, I be forgetting that dude's name. He got one eye too, like Charleston White. I can't think of a dude's name right now, but he's from New York. Let me look him up right quick. Yeah, taxed on him, and they were beefing. Taxed on brought the gun to the club allegedly, and he took it off him. Well, they allegedly, because they already proved it was his gun with the DNA off it. And Troy Ave was shooting back at the dude that killed his bodyguard, Banger. And Troy Ave bonded out, and he had to put up his mother's home for bond. But a person like Troy Ave or somebody like that, I don't think it really be a problem getting him back to court. I want my money. I'll make sure I milk all the money out of him, but where he gonna run? I mean, he ain't that big of a celebrity, but I don't think it'd be too hard to find him if he did try to take off. He does have money to run, but he's so high profile, I don't think it'll be hard to snatch him. But anybody with vehicles are always, if they worth anything, most people that you bond out have a piece of crap, 1992 Grand Ams, Pontiac Grand Dams with 300,000 miles on them. Like, what? It's not even worth anything. Or people have cars not running. And then sometimes I take titles, but I only take titles from a person that, like, usually owns a home or has a stable job and paying rent in a certain place. That's the only people I usually take titles from, because you get a person that got a title to a POS vehicle, and like I said, it's a 1999 Buick Century with 200,000 miles. What is it worth? It's not worth anything, and 9 times out of 10 you ain't got full coverage. So if it burns up or it's stolen, I'm just stuck with a piece of paper. And so sometimes when bondsmen don't want to take your title, that's the reason. The vehicle's not really worth anything, or they know you're not stable, or it's a real high risk that you might not even keep full coverage on the car, and something might happen to the car. So, like, really, what is it worth? Other things bondsmen like to take are 4-wheelers, motorcycles, especially on small bonds. So, like, say you got $4,000 or $5,000 bond, and you got high risk, like you got a lot of failure to appears, or from out of state, motorcycle, 4-wheelers, you can get a couple thousand off them. Riding lawnmowers, those are good, or a trailer, like not a house trailer, but a trailer that you pull those items with. Those usually make good collateral also, and I like to take that for collateral. That's easy to take. Throw it in one of our warehouses, or I go put it in my backyard. It's not a big deal. But yeah, we usually do that too. But say for instance, like a big celebrity or somebody, that's why they put up their homes, if they actually own it, you know. And that's why homes are great investments to have in regards to the bonding world. Because like I said, this guy, he had a $20,000 bond. 10% is $2,000. So yeah, they had $2,080, but mom had the money, but nobody wanted to touch it. I talked to her, and I figured everything out, and that's what you call working the bond. I was asking a lot of questions. She was a former RN, retired, so that's already a good deal, because we know she was established. She worked at a certain hospital here for like 30 years, retired. Then she was like, yeah, she had a title to her own vehicle. I could have just took that, and I probably would have been fine. And she had the home, and I was like, okay, you got the home, you willing to put it up? Yeah. We did the mortgage paperwork, and we do paperwork. I ain't gonna show you that, but right here, can't really show it to you, but went down to the county courthouse and put it up. And that's another thing. If you're trying to bond somebody else, and you're trying to bond somebody out, and they have a home, make sure you do it between Monday and Friday, because you can't do it on the weekend, because the county clerk's office is closed. So just remember that. You got to do it Monday through Friday. You just got to have your paperwork right and get it signed by a notary, and then get your lien recorded on it. But that's the reasons why people use collateral or put up homes for bonds. I'm going to holler back at y'all. Got a phone call coming in. And we're going to do this again. We're going to talk about more of the BS. Holla at y'all.